Hi everyone. I am going to go over with you Big Ideas 20 and 21 from Unit 4, Lecture 6. Sorry that I couldn't be there with you guys today, but we'll go over this way instead. This lecture, or this part of Lecture 6 is like really heavy in just memorizations. Like flashcards are a really good way to study here. It's all about the structure and function of the brain. So we're going through, we did this with the lobes, we're doing it with the other parts of the brain. Where are they located? What do they do? Try and think of tricks if you can to help you remember these terms and what these parts of the brain and what they do and all that. But we'll start today going through it and doing some practice. So we're going to start with the diencephalon. This portion of the brain is very deep in the cerebral cortex. So it's kind of like something that you wouldn't see if you were holding a brain in your hand. It's inside. It's inferior to that cerebral cortex, the cerebrum we've been talking about for a while with the 5 lobes. And it's between those cerebral hemispheres. So it's pretty centrally located as well. It's above or superior to the brainstem. So smack in the middle pretty much. And it has 3 major parts: the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. It's like a little pea-shaped gland at the end. Nice and small. First, we're going to look at the thalamus. So back to here. Here's the thalamus in red over here. You can see it's a pretty large portion of the diencephalon, really centrally located. Here it is if we're looking at the brain's inferior side in a little cross section. You can see it. It's like these 2 like egg-shaped structures. So it's the most superior portion of the diencephalon, and it relays sensory impulses to the appropriate parts of the cerebrum. That's its job. So we're going to have sensory impulses coming in from our eyes, from our nose, from our ears, from anywhere that touches our skin. And all of these sensory impulses are going to be sent through our spinal cord to our thalamus. And the thalamus is going to say, here's where you need to go, to the parietal lobe, because that was a sensation of touch. Or here's where you need to go because that was a sensation of vision, to the occipital lobe. It will determine that. Maybe it sends the message to more than one place and directs it, somewhere else as well. But the thalamus is the relay station for sensory impulses. Thalamus. The thalamus. How could you remember that? I don't know. Think on that one. All right. Next, we have the hypothalamus. So we're going to move a little bit more anterior in the brain. This is inferior to the thalamus and posterior to the pituitary gland. It's connected to the cerebrum, the brainstem, and the thalamus. So there's like a lot going on with this one. It's just pretty centrally located and a connecting piece. What are its main jobs? Well, there was a whole laundry list of things that the hypothalamus controls, but one way to kind of summarize it is that it maintains homeostasis, and it connects the nervous and endocrine systems as well. Now, maintains homeostasis is what I want you to focus on. Maintains balance in our body. It's going to work with other parts of the brain to help regulate our breathing levels, our heart rate levels, our blood pressure levels, our temperature in our body. Anything that might kind of go out of whack, it's going to help bring back to balance and keep balanced. The pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is this little pea-shaped gland at the end of the infundibulum, which is projecting out of the hypothalamus. And this little guy here produces lots of hormones. Fun. Let's see. All of these hormones are going to go to different parts of the body, as you can see here, to the skin. Maybe it's going to release some oily substances from those sebaceous glands, or maybe some breast milk when you're feeding your baby, or to the ovaries, it will send some hormones when it's that time of the month, or when we're producing certain, like, I don't know, like sexual organs during puberty, all that stuff. Maybe it's going to the bones to help store away calcium. There's so many roles of hormones, different hormones do different things. So there's lots of different places we can have these hormones being sent. But it's a big regulating piece, a controlling piece that sends hormones to different places when the time is right. And finally, the limbic system. This is not really like a part of the diencephalon, but many parts of the diencephalon, including the thalamus and the hypothalamus, are involved in it, along with the hippocampus and amygdala. So those are going to be more so in that temporal lobe, helping with memory. But in general, the thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, and the hippocampus, all these make up the limbic system, and they're going to be in charge of emotional behaviors, like when you're angry and raged, or if you're afraid of something, or you have anxiety, that's your limbic system. Also survival behaviors, like fight or flight, when you're like super nervous and your body just kind of kicks in defenses and you don't really have control, it just does its thing. Right? Like if somebody came up behind you and you're like freaked out and you punch them in the face, like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I got scared. I don't know, that's drastic, but things like that. Eating, like survival behaviors such as eating, feeding yourself, feeding your family, things like that. Those would be controlled by your limbic system. All right, so here's our little game we'll play as we go through each major part of the brain. It's called Guess That Part of the diencephalon. So you are on a date. You are out to dinner, and your date picks a table outside. Oh no, come on. Blank, don't kick in. I can't have pit stains. Not now. What part of the diencephalon are you hoping won't kick in to help your body maintain homeostasis of temperature and cause you to start sweating buckets? The hypothalamus. Yeah, the hypothalamus is in charge of maintaining homeostasis. Hypothalamus, homeostasis. And so you're saying, please, hypothalamus, don't make me sweat. Don't cool me off, because if you cool me off, then I'm going to be all pit stained on my date. No. All right, next we have, guess that part of the diencephalon. Oh no. You walk into anatomy class, you put your hand on your desk and, oh no, something sticky. Ew, something sticky. What is this mystery substance? Sensory neurons traveled from your fingers to your spinal cord and through this part of the diencephalon, which is what? Which decided to send this information to your parietal lobe for processing, just to make sure you knew you felt that gross sticky stuff. What part of your brain is going to send this sensory information to the parietal lobe? It is the thalamus. The thalamus is going to relay the sensory information to the right part of the cerebrum. Hypothalamus, homeostasis. Thalamus, that relay center for sensory impulses. Guess that part of the diencephalon. Running, and running, and running. Yeah, you're out running. You start breathing, just normal, but then all of a sudden, panting. What part of the diencephalon has increased your breathing rate and your heart rate to maintain body balance to ensure your cells get enough oxygen to provide you energy as you're running? Yeah? No? What part of your diencephalon is going to help do this? Help to create that homeostasis, that balance, even though you're running. Hypothalamus, homeostasis it is. Moving on. You love hiking. The only thing you always have in the back of your mind, though, while you're hiking is, what if I see a bear? Other than that, it's great. You know there's some trick. Brown, lay down. Black, fight back. Or is it black, lay flat, brown, run around? Ugh, you can never remember. All of a sudden, as you debate this in your mind, you see a bear. This part of your brain, or these parts of your brain, controlling fight or flight behaviors kick into gear and you run. Forget the rhyme. Guess that part of the diencephalon. Fight or flight behaviors. The limbic system, it is the thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, and hippocampus of those temporal lobes as well. Guess that part of the diencephalon. Whether it is that time of month, ladies, you know, time to feed your baby and produce milk, or simply the production of sweat, or sebum, I should say, from the glands of your skin. This part of the diencephalon is in control of secreting hormones to stimulate the proper sequence of events or activities. What would that be? Secreting hormones, sending them through the blood to stimulate certain things to happen in other parts of the body. It is the pituitary gland, the little pea-shaped gland, pituitary. All right, and last but not least, can you label them? We have the most superior portion of the diencephalon called the thalamus. Then in orange, we have the middle portion of the diencephalon called the hypothalamus. And finally, we have a little pea-shaped portion down here in tan called the number 3 pituitary gland. Moving on. That was our second major structure of the brain. What was the first? That whole lecture 5, the cerebrum. Cerebrum